Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles AMC. Hope you're doing well. All right, Major League Baseball is at it again. So, Aaron Judge coming off a MVP level historic season, really one of the top five offensive seasons of all time, most likely, sans steroids or whatever, how you want to phrase it, however you want to calculate it. But terrific season overall, and in what he did was on his own. All right, I'm not making accusations on Aaron Judge. He goes out there, he hits the ball, and he does it better than anybody, at least this year. Major League Baseball, however, has been known to mess with the baseballs in the past. They'll have their own regulations that are fairly loose, and balls can fall within their accepted ranges, but that variance can have a great effect on how it's hit, and so they've juiced them like we saw in 2019, a little bit in 2021, and it looks like some of those balls from 2021 may have come into 2022 and been planted strategically at least. And so saw a tweet from Kendall Baker who said Major League Baseball used three distinct balls in 2022. And there's an article that links to insider.com. And the link to that is in the description. I thought it was really interesting. And they talked about different balls being used in 2021 and some of those escaping into 2022. And some of those balls were a bit heavier, and so you had some lighter balls, and then you had some normal balls, and they called these, the Goldilocks balls, and then they had the juice balls, which were a bit heavier. And once you make contact with those balls, they do tend to launch off the bat at a different degree with different velocity, all that kind of stuff. And so what they found in this article basically is that the balls that they used, they had them marked. And they would use them during All-Star Game and in home run derbies, things of that nature. But some of those same balls were found to be used by the Yankees exclusively in the last month of the season. So I guess a bit interesting. Major League Baseball, of course, denied this, but there was a in the Society for American Baseball Research. There's a lady named Meredith Wills, and she's an astrophysicist, and so she did a test on these balls, and I might take her word over Rob Manfred for the most part. So a couple highlights from the article, and I encourage you to go through the whole thing. It is pretty interesting. So, but they collected a lot of these balls, and you can see that you can't see it because the image didn't capture properly. Through my own movie magic, though, I could fix that in real time for the most part. So this is the actual article here, and so they had balls in three different weight groups, and so you had some of the lighter ones that were more dead. You had the Goldilocks, and then you had the juiced balls, which were a little bit heavier. And the article just goes on to say that the juice balls, again, they were used in some of the more high profile events, but then when they found them, they didn't find them in really any regular season games except for Yankee games at the back half of the season. Back to a couple of my notes here. So, anyways, they talked to players, and the players were interested in looking at this, and they wanted to do some of their own third party testing, and they were going to try and farm out some of these balls to Wills. But baseball shut them down. They sent them threatening text messages and said, you can't send these balls out. They're not to be used. They're not to be sampled. We'll do it on our own, which, again, for me, that's a red flag for the most part. So it's like, if there's a problem, put it out. If you're not worried about it, that old adage, if you're not worried, if you have nothing to hide, don't hide it for the most part. And so, a lot of people were calling out Major League Baseball and their specs for the balls. You say, everything's supposed to fall within a certain range, but when you have 17-ounce balls with a 5-ounce range or whatever it is, that's a huge variance, and they can really monkey with it. And so you can see the Goldilocks balls when they were used, the quote-unquote Goldilocks balls, the ones that were a little bit heavier. So dead balls were used, throughout the season, but then the Goldilocks ones showed up, again, outside the All-Star game, in the postseason and the last month of the season here. So maybe there's something to it. And so let's look at Aaron Judge's numbers for the most part. And we've got the full season numbers for the most part: 43% fly ball rate, 35% home run to fly ball ratio. So that's about as extreme as it gets. Last year, Shohei Ohtani, I think, was at about 40%. And so when you see people have these elite seasons, career seasons, they top out around 35% or something like that. So again, Aaron Judge is, he's a powerful guy. He's absolutely capable of doing this, and he didn't do anything wrong. He just, whatever baseball they throw at him, he's going to hit it. So this isn't on him at all. If you look at the beginning of the season until the beginning of September, Again, in line with the full season stats here, 44% fly ball rate, 35% home run to fly ball rate. When we look at that last month of the season, okay, from beginning of September to beginning of October, the line drive rate really cranked up. The fly ball rate dropped down, so we switched fly balls to line drives. But the home run to fly ball rate went up to 40%, and so the ball wasn't being elevated as much. Which, if you're not elevating the ball, it's harder to put it out of the park. But he was able to start launching more balls out of the park for the most part. The hard hit rate went up to 51%, and so when balls are not going at the same elevation, but they're going out of the park at a higher clip, those balls are springing pretty well, maybe a little bit more than usual. So same thing if we look at his exit velocity for the full season, around 95 miles per hour standard, which was best in the league, 118 miles per hour, which was third or fourth, which is really good, obviously. That exit velocity crept up in the last month of the season to 97 miles per hour. The launch angle increased a little bit, so we're hitting more line drives, but the launch angle is a little bit more consistently high, which is unusual. And the barrel rate, which is a combination of exit velocity and launch angle, you have that sweet launch angle, 15 to 25 degrees, which will get you out of the park, and an exit velocity, you start to get upwards of 100 miles per hour or something like that. That's usually a home run for the most part, and so that barrel rate really went up as well. So obviously he was, that's him. He's just hitting at the right angle and hitting with the proper velocity. But the hard hit rate up to 62%. So that has to do a lot with velocity. So again, that ball may have had some spring in that last month. We didn't see it in the beginning 7/8 of the year. In that last month, it really got nuts. And so again, not trying to put anything on Aaron Judge. Again, he's just hitting what's thrown to him or anything like that. So I'm sorry if I misled or anything, but baseball has been known to monkey around with balls, and it wouldn't put it past him to say, we've got this historic thing going on. A lot of people really captivated the nation's attention. This is the story right here every night. Did Aaron Judge hit 62? Did Aaron Judge, home run watch? For them to take advantage of that, it sure wouldn't surprise me. And it's unfortunate that he'd get caught up in something like that. So yeah, not that unfortunate because it worked out for him. He just got a nice new deal with the Yankees. But again, nothing on him. But I think baseball may be up to their old tricks, which would be not good. So that's what I got for you. Like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.